Very excited to be here. We have about 2 minutes to start and a sneak preview. Obviously, thank you so much to our soul sisters on the West Coast. Today, we have joining with us co-founder Mackenzie Lopez, and we're going to do a fun little What's Up Wednesday live podcast again. So we just thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having a conversation a little bit later on in the episode today.
Maureen and Sarah, I wondered how and where you got quickly, and I was like, I could have stayed and cheered you on in person.
Oh, that's so fun. Yes, for those of you joining us, thank you. It was a wild day, a fun day, and also we know many of you are on spring break, so thank you for those that are carving out time to be with us today. We are on the tail end of a local school nutrition association meeting. And we are on location today at the GAMI, the Quarry Hill Orchard. So we will also end today with a little caught doing something good moment, because she is just awesome. And you guys all need to see her and let her chat a little bit about some of the great opportunities she has coming here in the summer for any and all of us. So it is 1:30, and with that, I will say hello from a location. I would love this picture if it was rain, but I should say be like a flower and survive the snow. If you're from Northeast Ohio, we had quite a pile, which is interesting for those of you who are on spring break and trying to do stuff. We hope that you find some sunshine at least, even though the cold weather is here a little bit longer in Northwest Ohio. Today, we are going to be going through our normal lineup of items. So as in true Pasonic fashion, we just thank you for your attendance. It will be recorded for those of you who are on break and you know somebody that would want this. It's going to be obviously live. Hello, my Facebook Live friends. And then again, recorded on our YouTube channel and on our website. So for those of you who know someone who may have missed it because of break, thank God they're taking a break and they can always catch up with us. Today, we have some fun stuff to talk about relative to our menu matters and some inspiration. We are going to doing something good earlier because we know time is precious, and we certainly want to thank all of you who have taken that time to be with us and celebrate as we get closer and closer to School Lunch Hero Day. Of course, I have my sidekick in crime here with me, so we're sitting together, which is a new format for us, but Sarah will be talking all things admin roundup as we think about ending our year, checking all the checklist box and preparing for summer feeding and into the fall. And then my special guest, again, I gave a sneak preview. We'll talk a little bit today with co-founder Mackenzie Lopez of Lunch Assist, and we will also be talking with Brooke Gammy. So thank you for joining us. I have big news. And we are going to have Marge on get on the camera because she is the chief everything editorial. Look at her little, oh, we have the same shirt on today. We didn't even plan that. Everything as it relates to our menu matters and inspiration. So without further ado, I'm going to hopefully excite you all. We are very, very proud. We got some positive feedback on our first 16 recipes that we set out in January for you all. And today, for those of you who are with us, you get the first look at the link. So we are going to be releasing our second edition of the Pasonic Partners Cookbook. So there will be a new 17 recipes under our 4 pillars. Again, for those of you following along, always going to prop up that harvest of the month. And I can't think of a better place to do that than in a barn on an orchard. We just had a great farm to school meeting about what that means in our area and beyond. And we'll talk a little bit about that again with Brooke Gammy. We also simply have some recipes that get easy into getting scratch cooking started. If you're thinking about dipping your toe, that is our Simply Fresh line. Simple ingredients, not a long list and not a really difficult prep method. So there's something in this cookbook for all of you. And then of course, we have a nod to all things diversity, equity, and inclusion with an entire chapter devoted to global on-trend recipes. So take a look at that as you think through. And then last but not least, we know it's not nutrition unless the kids eat it. And so Comfort Classics are here to stay, and we tried to take fun spins. The spin we chose to take a little bit throughout this cookbook, we hope you're excited about as well. If you're anything like me, I'm a foodie inside and out. It just doesn't stop with our school lunch menus. It's in our kitchen at home. It's with my girls. It's with my husband. It's as we scroll through social media, especially TikTok. So the new cookbook has a nod to some really cool top trending TikTok recipes that we have schoolified for you, meaning each one of these recipes not only gives you insights onto how to create it in your kitchen, it gives you all the necessary documentation in order to make that meal look compliant and live on a cycle menu to meet your nutritional components for your menu. So we hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed creating it. And again, I open it up to you, Marge. Marge is instrumental. We call her our chief editor in charge here. She keeps us all aligned. And thank you, Marge, for your unwavering support and dedication to helping us release this second edition of our cookbook. With that, I'm going to hand it over to you to talk some exciting options that you might talk about relative to some theme days coming up.
Great. Well, thank you. And we hope everybody utilizes the cookbook. I put the link in the chat that you can request a copy of the cookbook. We also did include in there a link that you can give us some feedback about the cookbook. So we always welcome your feedback too, what you like, what you think we would like to see. We appreciate that. So coming up, International Hummus Day on May 13th. And how apropos that in this new cookbook edition, I think this came from a TikTok recipe, is a cookie dough hummus. And we have gotten really good feedback about this. And I think if kids could eat their beans in something that tastes like cookie dough, this should be a menu staple. So this recipe is in our cookbook. We do also have a sweet potato hummus that I think is in there from the previous group of recipes. So two different options. That what better way to try hummus than International Hummus Day on May 13th. We also thought you might be interested in celebrating National Barbecue Day with something a little bit different. So on May 16th, we have these recipes, again, always willing to share in our Healthy Pro. Even if you don't use Healthy Meal Planner Pro, we can send you copies of recipes. We're happy to do that. So we have a barbecue chicken quesadilla. So kind of taking the barbecue with the favorite Mexican flair, and barbecue like pizza on a flatbread. So two different options there. We also have a resource that we wanted to share that came from our partners at Gordon Food Service. So we frequently use the term buildable. They're calling them flexible recipes. We will put this resource in the chat and with our recap resources, but they have like 10 different recipes that are coated with GFS coated ingredients, but also use commodity products. And they're great for those kind of bowl concepts where kids can customize and add or delete ingredients that they like or don't like. And this was one, I just picked out one that kind of struck me out of the 10 they presented, this chicken banh mi bowl. So again, some trendy flavors there with kind of a sriracha sauce on it. As always, our support ticket system is a great way to get a hold of us. And that's just sending an email to the support@ppllc.info for any of our schools that we help manage your menus. If there's recipes, changes to your menus, of course, that's a great way to let us know what you would like. And just giving us all the information that's listed there so that we can make any changes effectively and efficiently for you. And then I'm going to transition into the first part of our Caught Doing Something Good. Again, this is always a highlight time where we get to give a nod to all those great groups that we work with. And I think it was last month that I mentioned for National CACFP Month that we were going to be launching with our Head Start partners our Out of the Box cooking series. And so that's where we worked with them to send participants, families, boxes of ingredients. And we did 3 different recipes. And it was wonderful to get some of these pictures back and some of the feedback that we got about this program, where it was really exciting to see, families learn new recipes, build new recipes, engage children in that process. And of course, we had to put some nutrition education along the way, and people really embraced those tips that we were providing. So we look forward to doing more of those and have that curriculum built if that's something that you think would be a fit for your programs. And now I think I'm going to hand it over to Tina to share a lot about School Lunch Hero Day that we know we have so many. Tina?
Thanks, Marge. As we know, School Lunch Hero Day is coming up May 6th. And as one of the benefits of being in Sonic Partners is we get to work with each and every one of you guys. And what a better way, how can we pick one person to be a hero? There's no way. So we kind of set up a little montage of pictures of things that we've seen throughout this year, the past couple of years, and even pre-pandemic. So don't panic if you see no gloves on or no masks or anything on these. Some of these were pre-pandemic. But this is just a way to kind of send a tribute and a thank you to all that you do. I know sometimes food service seems to be at the back of the house as we go through things, but what you guys have done in the past couple of years, and even before that, is truly, truly amazing. And, we do this all for the love of our students. And that's why we're here. And we can't thank you guys enough for what you do. And you should all have your own little capes on, because each one, no matter what role you play in this kitchen, is a special role. And by the end of the day, we have these kids going home eating healthy, nutritious meals with a smile on their face just because of what you guys do. So national heroes, each and every single one of you guys belong with a cape celebrating our National School Lunch Hero Day. So thank you all so much for what you do. These are just some kind of cute little pictures. They were kind of cool to do. It was kind of fun. So I'm going to pass it off to Sarah. She gets the fun part of admin.
Before Sarah starts, I just have to say, many of you, I think Marcia was petting a goat in some of those pictures. So it's been a wild ride. I do also, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more with our friends from Lunch Assist, there are some great resources to celebrate your staff. So we want you to absolutely take the opportunity May 6th, not only for yourself and for each other, but for your school communities to understand and be able to share with pictures, with stories, with testimonials, all the hard work you've all been doing. And as I look at the screen and see names of all the familiar heroes in my life and in my work, I would be remiss if I didn't thank my own staff. So I certainly do appreciate all of the work. And I have said this forever, it takes a village. And one of the COVID silver linings has been growing our sisterhood. So again, thanks to Lunch Assist for joining us today. And, Brooke Gamio Beyond, she's always been a cheerleader for all things frontline school work, but it wouldn't happen if you all didn't have boots on the ground every day. So my work wife is on this call, Kim Saborik. I want to thank you particularly for coming along this journey with me. I am the mom of a 3rd grader who turns 9 tomorrow. Kim remembers me when I was the mom of a 2nd grader who was graduating college next weekend. So it's been a lovely ride for me in this role, supporting all of you to be successful in school. So we can't be successful unless we follow the rules. And I would say my right arm, but she's on my left today. So my left arm is here to kind of go through some of the admin informations that will help you be successful in ending the school year and transitioning some of this. So go for it.
Perfect, thanks. So a couple of updates that we did get from ODE today at the SANS meeting is that more than likely the reimbursement rate, and Tina will talk a little bit more about your plate costs for next year, will be fairly similar to the NSLP rates that we saw in the 2019-2020 school year, with a tiny bit of a bump for inflation, not total crazy COVID inflation, but the typical bump that the USDA gives every single year for that. So just that was a huge update. Also for summer meals, you are allowed to serve meals through June 30th, even if you do not qualify for free summer meals for the entire summer. So if you're a school district that's less than the 50% free and reduced, typically you can still offer meals through June 30th under those waivers. And then you would have to cease meals until you start back to school again in August. So if you would like to serve meals through the month of August or the month of June to make some extra money, that is now an option for you. So that was cleared up because I know there were lots of questions in the room this morning about that. So just a couple of items. So start menu planning for fall. The biggest thing industry kept saying to us this morning, and you've all probably heard, is there's never too soon to start forecasting. They really need those numbers. They are hoping that next year looks a lot better than this year looked. I think any of us will take any improvement that we can get next year. So please get those menus ready and share them out with your GFS reps. If you are at GFS, if you are using another distributor, please get your numbers to them as well. Again, this is obviously our best guess because we don't know what participation is going to look like this year. Our typical plan in-house at Visonic Partners is to decrease participation by about 20 to 30% for next school year. Those are the forecasting numbers that our team is using right now to share out with industry. Also, final kitchen cleanup. Make sure that your kitchens are nice and squeaky clean to come back. I know there's been a lot of craziness with inventory and people off and not having subs. And I know a lot of times we didn't get to the spring cleaning that we typically do during the school year. So just a reminder, the health departments will be back out in full force come fall. So just a friendly reminder on that. Please ensure that your staff are food safety trained. So this year, a lot of people's ServSafe level 2 have expired. And if they took that test in 2017, that was prior to the ODH level 2 forever certificate that they are now giving out. So if you have people that only have ServSafe and they did it in 2017, it's 2022. So it's the 5th year and it will expire. So they will need to take that exam. And then they will get the forever certificate from ODH moving forward. If you need help with ServSafe, please reach out to us. I do teach and proctor that course, so happy to help you with that as well. And then some ODE updates. So they are finally closing the reviews from the 17-18 school year. ODE did update on that as well. So just because you had a review in the 17-18 school year does not necessarily mean that next year is your review year. It just means between 2022 and 2027, you will be reviewed again in that 5-year cycle. It's not an exact 5 years from the time that you were reviewed. So you may actually be 7 years out or 8 years out, or you may get lucky and be 9, and you'll be at the very end of that 5-year cycle. They are trying, I did talk with ODE, they are trying to get as many schools next year as possible, but they did a lot of admin reviews in the 17-18 school year. So it's probably not going to be feasible for them to do them all next year. So just a little reminder, if you have any outstanding corrective actions on your procurement review, your last administrative review, or if you had to have a resource management review, please get those finished up. They really want to close those. And I think we all want to close them and be done so that if you are up, you can move into the new cycle pretty seamlessly. Late, it will be October, November. So not something we have to come back to in August. And then I know we're all returning to free, reduced, and full paid lunches in the fall. I know that probably wasn't the news that we all wanted to hear, but we have your back. Tina on our team is going to do a great presentation to kind of give you an idea of how to cost your plate. I know that's the biggest question we're getting asked right now is, okay, we have to go to the board. We haven't charged for lunches in 2.5 years. What do we charge for a lunch? So we will be getting to that in just a couple of minutes. So if you are one of the lucky schools, and this year was a great year for you participation wise, which I sure hope it was, because we were giving away breakfast and lunches for free, and you have over 3 months operating costs, you do need a spend down plan. So that is something you are going to want to put together because ODE will be asking for that. So that's something to think about as you're closing up the year. So you are allowed to take into account the increase in food cost. So I know as Tina and I talk through our schools and what next year is going to look like, we are keeping a little bit of a reserve because of the decrease in participation and the increase in cost for food and supplies. So that is something that you are allowed to make as part of your spend down plan. This is a one-time give that the USDA and ODE are allowing. Typically, you can't add those things into your spend down plan, but because inflation has been record breaking in the last 2 years, they are allowing for that as well. Also, a lot of people are retiring in the next, either this year or next year. So you are also allowed to include in there your attrition and succession planning, because that does come to a cost to your department. So those are things, if you're needing to cross-train someone and you're keeping the current person on while you're doing that, if you have severance to the person that is leaving, you are allowed to include all of that in your spend down plan just for next school year. And then paid lunch equity, we got updates on that as well. If you had a positive fund balance as of December 31st of 2021, you are not required to complete the paid lunch equity tool. However, I would like to encourage you to make sure that you know your plate costs going into next year. Hence the reason why Tina has put in a lot of time into the next part of our What's Up Wednesday today, so that you know what is the right price. Because if you were charging $3 or less for lunches in 2019, 2020, that is not going to be enough money. Even if you have a positive fund balance right now, that is not going to be enough money for meals for next year. So that is just something we want you to be aware of. There was a spreadsheet that went out. So the average cost that most schools are looking to charge for 22-23 is $3 at the elementary, and then $3.50 for middle school and high school. And that's just an average in Northeast Ohio of the schools that reported their plans for plate cost. So now I'm going to pass it back to Tina to share all of her knowledge on how we need to cost our plates.
So this is the very depressing part. As we look through, and we did kind of what we did, what our costs were pre-pandemic to the 21-22 school year. Little bit of increases across the way, as you can see through this. Labor totally shocked me. I redid it over and over again, thinking, what in the world? How could labor have dropped? Well, our participation was so high in most of our districts that it dropped our labor costs per plate. We had staffing issues. We had, participation was just so high. We needed more bodies and couldn't get them. So our labor did drop a little bit, which was kind of nice to see something actually drop because everything else had increased. So whereas the plate cost, from pre-COVID was $3.28, and then including your labor, it was $3 plus our reimbursement, which was great. This is where all this money has been coming in and why our, balances have gone way into the black. Now what we've kind of done is projected next year's what we're looking at. We've gotten several different inflation reports across the board from GFS and seeing what's going to happen next year. Like Sarah had said, we're kind of projecting a 20% decrease in participation is what I'm looking at. I've looked at through these numbers was about a 20% decrease. We know the inflation is going to go up. Our cost of each individual item is going to go up. Our entree item is going to include your grain and your meat. So that's like not just your total one item in there. We kind of put them together in one grouping for entree. As you can see, our plate cost is going to be around $2.03 when we budget it out. Our paper products, we have been told, hold on to your hats, whereas when COVID hit and we were out of paper products, couldn't get toilet paper. This year or next year coming up, we're not going to be able to afford the toilet paper is what we're looking at. So, this is one of those things, we are locked in right now on our OSC bids. I'm never one to hoard. I'm like, get rid of it, leave the space. Might be something you're thinking about is possibly stocking up on some of your paper products because we know that is going to go through the roof next year. Again, labor is going to go up because again, now participation is going to drop. So what a better way now to get your, let's start bringing back some of these, scratch made meals. This is going to be a way that's going to help us to help contain the cost of these plates. We're looking at $3.40 for our lunch. Yep, $3.48 per plate cost next year. And this is just a guesstimate, and I'm going by 20%. Some of these districts, some of your districts may go down even more. Districts that are had a lot of kids that came in. I know Woodridge is about a 50%, 50% free and reduced. I know we're going to drop. These kids being able to get these free meals this year was amazing for them. So just think about that as you're going through and you're kind of projecting what you're going to do next year. Keep in mind the cost of our groceries are going to go up, the cost of our paper products, cost of our labor is going to go up. And again, reimbursement, not so much. So as much as we, very thankful for what we get, but it's something you need to really stop and think about as you're going through. And how are we going to make this? Start budgeting now, start looking ahead. So, be more proactive. We don't want to be stuck in, December and thinking, oh my gosh, where did all that money go? So, kind of ways that we've been talking, and this is one of the things that we're looking at. We kind of did what does it cost us to do a build your own bistro box? This is one of our main items in our elementary kids. Our kids love this. This is one of the things for a full price parent is going to go pack. If you go out and you look in your classrooms, most in your cafeterias, most of your kids that are packing are bringing in some kind of Lunchable. So we kind of priced it out and did what would it be? So if we charge our elementary students $3 a meal, and then you price pick what it's going to cost to do a packed lunch. And if they go in and they get the exact same things that we're giving them, it's going to cost them $3.80. Went to the grocery store, did our research on this. So now what a better way than getting this communication across to your parents. Tell them, put it out there. Okay, you can pay $3 for a lunch that we're going to do all the work for, or do you want to pay $3.80? It's going to be cheaper for you to come in and purchase our meals versus having to pack them, because they are saying your stay-at-home groceries, and if you look at it, are going up anywhere from 8.65% to 14%. I myself, looked on the grocery store, I buy the same kind of coffee, and in 1 month it went up $5 a bag. So what's next year going to be? So this is a way to kind of keep our participation hopefully up next year. So we have on the next slide is just kind of things. Communication is key. We've said this over and over again. Communicate early about this National School Lunch Program coming back. Let these parents know all kids aren't eating for free next year. So I know we're in May, or we're getting ready to come into May. Let's get this out there ahead of time. The more people see things, the more it's going to stick in their mind. If you're doing summer meals, communicate any kind of changes. Last year, we had a lot of districts that did summer meals. This year, not as much. So No Kid Hungry has a toolkit that's available. And Marge will put that in the chat for you on as a resource to pick up, go and get these toolkits, get that information out. Do it now. Let them know, hey, listen, last, possibility, these are the last free meals your kids are going to get, in a district that's normally not free. So again, let these parents be aware of your free and reduced apps. They're gonna have to fill them out. I know pre-pandemic, that was an issue with a lot of negative balance. Parents don't fill out the free and reduced applications, so that causes us to have these negative balances. And how nice has it been the past couple of years pulling up my negative balance and seeing 0 on our students? This is something to be a little proactive. Get that out there. We've talked of different ways, possibly putting it in your final forms, get your, so that every parent is filling that out, getting your paper application sent out at the beginning of the school year with all your, open welcome back applications and all the forms that they need to do. But get it out there, talk to your impact groups, all your people that do your social media. Put those in there, I sent one out today, already to my impact group, letting them know, let these parents know your kids aren't going to be free next year. And then Google surveys. I mean, what is the better way to find out? It's a two-purpose, you let them know, hey, meals are changing next year. We're going to go back to full price meals. But what did you like? What do you want to see on your menus? It's the greatest thing to do at the end of the year. Send out a Google survey to your students and your parents, and let them know, hey, what did they like this year? And we've done it in a couple districts, and I've been very surprised to hear their comments. And believe you me, kids don't hold nothing back, especially when they just have to fill it out in a Google and nobody knows who it is. Parents and students are very free to let you know what they think. So, these are just certain ways to kind of get that information out there. But then I will, I guess, pass it on to Maureen, and she's going to introduce our next step.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Tina. We gave you the school lunch hero to be able to give accolades, and thank you for talking through your colds. So she's been always given the slides where it's like the doom and gloom, and we don't want her always to have to be the doom and gloom person, but she is crafty with those numbers. And as I said, even in our recipe development, there's not a dartboard in our office that are like, what do we think kids like? There's a lot of thought, research, number crunching, all of that goes into our recommendations to all of you. We try to attend all of the things, like this morning, obviously being here at SAND and hearing from ODE. Thank you, McKinsey. That's not the case in all states. I mean, our state let us know this morning that June 30th, that was like breaking news. So we try to curate information. And so what Tina just went through for you is really our impressions based on good information. And when we're asking schools to think about communicating to parents, we really want you to have all the resources and information. With that said, if you are contemplating a lunch price increase or you are contemplating communication strategies, tap into that support at ppllc.info. One of us would be happy to go through that with you, take steps, and trust me, you know how we like to share. When one school's got something worth sharing, we are going to send it out to all of you so that we can all be in this together and voyage ahead. We also know that there is some legislation that, it might be a Hail Mary at the end of summer where something passes that we don't know about yet because they like to keep us on our toes at USDA. But right now, what ODE is telling us is plan, and plan again for things to go back to the NSLP pre-pandemic. So we are here. We are your team. We will help you in any way we can, and certainly are stronger together in sharing best practices. So if you are doing something great and you want to be caught doing something great with Pasonic, please submit those to us and we will share it loud and proud. So I can't tell you how excited I am right now to introduce to you co-founder of our friends Lunch Assist. For those of you who know Jen McNeil or have followed any of Jen and McKinsey's efforts through their community calls, they too had a wonderful opportunity to extend great information through the pandemic. And that's certainly how I met them. So I called this one of my pandemic silver linings. So we're going to stop sharing and we're just going to have a quick conversation today because, not everything in the pandemic was bad, right, Kinsey? I mean, I think we coming together have grown stronger, and not only stronger in our particular states, but across the nation. And so McKinsey joins us today from the West Coast. And for our guests and listeners today, this is kind of what we called our mini podcast live event. So you're our second guest. The first one was Mr. Marlin from our Next Gen family. Again, another silver lining of meeting people nationally, being on these Zoom calls. But tell us a little bit about yourself and your current role within child nutrition, and certainly any introduction, which I think it needs little because Lunch Assist is pretty, you're kicking butt, especially with a new partnership. So anything you want to share about who you are and where you come from?
Yeah, thanks, Maureen. Well, for those of you who I haven't met yet or are unfamiliar, I'm Mackenzie Lopez. As Maureen said, I'm co-founder of Lunch Assist, and we have really grown a lot over the last couple of years, largely just due to a high demand for more support throughout COVID. And then just kind of a brief recap, we basically provide support, inspiration, and guidance to school nutrition professionals in a variety of ways. So we have like our weekly newsletter. We do a monthly, spotlight. We have our monthly webinar as well. We have our Lunch Assist Pro membership where members get access to all kinds of resources and professional development. We have an AR boot camp, and we do one-on-one consulting. And we're just constantly been adding to that list just based on feedback and recommendations. And as Maureen alluded to, we just recently announced a partnership with Brigade, who is an amazing company based out of Colorado, and they put chefs in schools. And so they really tackle the culinary component of school nutrition operations. So we're really excited to soon announce what that partnership is going to look like and a whole new suite of offerings for everyone.
I love it. So one of my favorite first impression memories was when you all used the Marie Kondo, like how you organize your closets with like folding and rolling and everything's perfect. And if it doesn't spark joy, get rid of it, right? And so one of my first impressions of Lunch Assist was how clever and witty you all take things like USDA regulations and put them into easy to read charts and spreadsheets or checklists rather. And so again, I'm going to have Marge drop the link for Lunch Assist into our chat box. If you haven't checked this resource out, one of the things they have put together, which we really enjoy, and certainly if you came to our back to school boot camp, we offered a promo code, is an app, which again, partners in providing you every opportunity to educate yourselves, your staff, and do so in dynamic and interactive and new ways. None of us like to read that regulation, so that whole spark joy and make it easy is their whole approach to making sure their civil rights training is free, and we used it this year because it is darn good, and it is creative, and it brings some of that material that can be a little dry, perhaps to do year and year again, a different kind of vibe, and so we love our ladies on the West Coast for that vibe. Kinsey, next question. Let's talk about collaboration and communication in innovative ways, because we just talked about that. Not only are they witty in their development of their training, I don't know if you follow them on social media, but some of the GIFs and the memes and all that stuff, just tell us a little bit about innovative and collaborative ways you all prioritize both your own communication and then guiding schools with communication. We just talked about how hard it is to go back to some of the hard conversations, like fill out that application. So any insights?
Yeah, actually, a lot of how we communicate, it was kind of, so from my background, I actually did not come from the school nutrition background. I came from sports nutrition, and I joined this industry a few years ago. And when I joined, I was honestly quite surprised by how much of the information communicated from state and federal is in what looks like legal jargon, and just these really dense memos. And I was just gosh, what are you saying? Just tell me in plain language, what does this mean? No one has the time or the interest to sit down and read through a 6-page memo and then a 12-page Q&A, all just in legal jargon. So it kind of started out as Jen and I internally just started taking our own notes, and that's how we translated it for ourselves and then shared it. And then when we started sharing it with the wider community, then it just made sense to do it in the simple way. What are we trying to get at? What are we trying to say? And we like to have fun with it. So one of the things that we prioritize is just keeping things lighthearted and fun. And all of us in school nutrition already have a lot of stress and stressful situations and high pressure environments around us. The last thing we need is more of that when we go to sit down at our computer to work. So that's kind of been our goal, is try and keep it fun. It honestly, it was a little bit to keep our sanity during the start of COVID, because we were just working. We were up till probably 3 a.m. most nights trying to get some of those newsletters out and just trying to answer questions. And I think some of it was we're probably a little bit delirious, just writing out answers. So just start giggling, and they're this is funny, I think. And turns out it kind of was. I'll admit I'm not the wittiest one on the team. I'll leave that to a few other team members. And that's one thing I've learned too when it comes to communications is usually with a team, you have a wide range of personalities and a wide range of skill sets. And there are, more often than not, there's going to be someone on your team that's probably naturally a little bit witty, a little bit sarcastic, just really has that skill and is funny, or they're the ones in a meeting that's always cracking dad jokes or just kind of lightening up and providing a little bit of levity into the meeting. And so those are the key people that you want to have involved in your communications, because I think that's something that's really appreciated by the general audience, is that certain level of levity and relevant and relatable content. And so having them involved, identifying who those people are on your team that just are naturally really good at that, and looping them into the conversation when it comes to communications, whether it be social media or communicating with your students. The students love having that lighthearted, fun approach. That's a really great way to kind of source some talent from within and have more people involved in those communications, rather than just relying on upper management to come up with these all these communications that are accurate and relevant, and then also witty and stuff. If you can delegate part of that, the tone, to someone else, I think that's something that I think is really critical and important, and just keeps it fun. And it's a good way to have everyone involved in the communication as well.
Absolutely. I love that. Given that, knowing the current landscape as it isn't certainly 100% nailed down yet. You know, everybody's kind of has this like unknown angst going on. What would be the one bit of advice you all, perhaps from wisdom, perhaps from experience this past couple of years being in this arena, what would you tell people today as we think about summer into next year, as a piece of a critical advice in these challenging times in schools?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll share, I think one thing that's really important is challenging times really force all of us to grow. You know, it stretches our own personal boundaries and our expertise and skills. And we tend to encourage professional development to everyone on our department, but really taking time to also invest in that professional development for yourself, I think is really critical. And especially on the topics of like leadership, management, communication, conflict resolution. Those are some of the skills that aren't necessarily intuitive or inherent like in your career growth. Like a lot of us have food service backgrounds, dietitian backgrounds, various different kinds of backgrounds, but we don't always have a strong foundation in management and leadership. And so unless you go out and do that sort of additional learning and growth on your own, it's just not going to happen intuitively. I think it's really important to kind of reflect on how you as an individual like to learn. There's tons of professional development videos out there. There's social media channels you can follow, which is like quick bites of like tips. I personally like to read articles. This is super nerdy, but I subscribe to the Harvard Business Review, and I get there. Like you can curate the newsletter of like what topics do you want to get articles about. And so for me, like recently in our team, it's just been things like how to prevent burnout on your team, and like how to stay flexible in like times that are constantly changing, where that doesn't appear to have an end in sight, things like that. Really relevant articles that are a little bit on topics that are a little bit tough to navigate. And so I personally, I love to do like a lot of reading. I love podcasts as well, but I think that's really important. I think I've talked to a lot of people over the years that are in like CEO positions or manager positions. And that's one common thread that I've noticed in no matter who I talk to, what industry, is that level of like continuous development, especially on those topics that are leadership based. Because when you're in a leadership role, or even if you're not in like the highest leadership role, there's still things to be gleaned and learned along the way. And I think that's really important, because you're right, like we are in kind of rocky landscape. We don't know what the future holds. And just kind of having a little bit, even like a 5-minute read once a day. I know like in the listserv I have, they send like an article a day that's like, it takes 30 seconds to read. It's just a quick tip. And that works well for me because I don't have time to read like a 20-minute one every day. But I think just figuring out like how you like to learn, and really carving out some time, or signing up for like to follow a channel or like someone that is all about leadership, just to kind of have that infused to really encourage that continued growth. I think for teams in this like uncertain time, I think that's a really important element.
I love that. The last 3 quick hit questions are pretty fun. I will tell you, you subscribe to Harvard Business. I subscribe to the New York Times specifically for the food, because they do a really good job. And I'm such a food nerd. Like, again, it doesn't stop just writing school. I'm like looking at their resources and how to shop for it and how to create it and cook it. But I'm with you on that. Find something that's quick and easy, and that it could be on your phone. It's portable. So if you're like waiting at a doctor's office or whatever, in line at the shopping center, you can pick it up and look at and see what you're doing. And it doesn't have to always take a lot of time, but filling your mind with things that inspire you. So these last 3 questions I asked all our podcast attendees, because we're nerdy with all things recipes and school lunch. What was your favorite school lunch when you remember going to school and eating school lunch?
Gosh, this isn't like from an RD perspective.
Not from an RD perspective.
A+ answer, but I love tater tots. So I gotta say, like some good tater tots that have the crisp outside with the soft warm inside. I like, yes, love them.
Love it. We have an entire series called our Tacho Bar. So if you haven't seen it yet, we'd be happy to send you the Tacho recipes because you could try some at home. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Here's a question because, you know, I'm a foodie in schools and also a mom. What food did you dislike as a child, but now love?
This one's a little bit random, but I did not like peas growing up, but now I love them in like rice dishes or in a dish. I just love that texture, like the rice and then like a snappy pea. I don't know. I think it's more of a texture thing than anything. I like the contrast. But yeah, hated peas growing up, and now I just like sprinkling them and everything.
I love it. I love it. And we know variety makes the world go round. So my last question is this. You know, we have really taken an effort to really think about equity and inclusion in our recipes and encouraging schools to think what they're, you know, read the room. What's the audience? We were at a meeting today and Marge worked with our Head Start and Lorraine way back when Dave Sokol was there to create an authentic Hispanic rice and beans, because, you know, some of the stuff you get out of the Uncle Ben's box, no offense, Uncle Ben, is not what parents are used to serving their kids at home if they're authentically cooking. So tell me, if there was one food or cuisine that you could eat for the rest of your life because it was your jam and you loved it so much, what would it be?
Yeah, it would definitely be along those Latin lines of Oaxacan food. I love all Mexican food, but especially Oaxacan is my absolute favorite.
I love it. Well, I can't tell you enough. Again, I appreciate there's a time difference. There's a, you know, busy schedule. Everybody's certainly up against the end of year crunch, and we just appreciate your time today. Certainly our partnership with Jen and all of your teammates. You know, we are stronger together. And I think, again, silver lining has been meeting all of you. So thank you today for joining us, Kinsey, and we look forward to being in contact with you.
Thank you so much for having us. Or having me. I'm so used to joining the webinar with someone else. But thanks so much for having me and letting me join.
Absolutely. All right. So we are going to go back into a bit of sharing. As we talk about communications, we want to set you up for success. We talked about this before. The triennial wellness assessment is due. There was a waiver. Some people put it off. You know, we're going to go out on a limb and say there's lots of ways to accomplish the check the box. And as we move forward, something as simple as creating a checklist and using this wellness assessment tool. Again, this was provided through ODE years back. Many of us have seen it in circulation. We know that it is that, yep, you've done the assessment and you can put it to bed and you can say that you have it for your review. So we want to encourage you to look at your wellness policy at a minimum using this tool for compliance, but also want to talk a little bit about, as you are ending your year and engaging your parents and talking about things that we know are coming down the pike. Remember, it's not just your job as the food service supervisor or director or the SFA for your district to really engage with the wellness in your district. So there's a couple of best practice advices we like to just remind you. This one is the whole school, whole community, whole child WISC model. It comes from the CDC. And I will tell you, it does really name all of the players that you should, if you don't already have as stakeholders on your wellness committee, bring them to the table. Again, it is one of those things that you're stronger together. And I really want to encourage you to look at something that's standardized and available, turnkey solution based on evidence. So these resources will be, again, dropped in the chat and follow up as we move forward. So very easy to take a simple survey and really have that guide your strategy. So CDC has this school health index. And again, these things are here for you to use. You don't have to create an assessment tool. They're there for you. They align with that WISC model. And certainly one of the things that we know is that you will have a part of it, but you won't be responsible for all of it. So again, it's something to bring to your administration. I said this at the beginning of the pandemic, and I really want to say it again. You are the expert in school food and nutrition. Take your seat at that administrative table, lean into the conversation. And by the way, bring an excellent resource. And so really just investing in how customizable this online tool and downloadable makes it easy. We're all about easy solutions and resources. Here is also the Alliance for a Healthier Generation. At one point in time, they had the Healthy School Framework, which again, guided schools to try to, name areas of improvement for their district, but also celebrate successes. They have a great resource library with tons of information. So if you're looking at going beyond checking the box and really engaging your stakeholders, here are some tools and resources that we think are awesome. So more supports and resources, back to school basics. Our boot camp will be coming back. Again, we are in person. Endemic times are upon us. Save the date, August 3rd. There is going to be so much for everyone. So this will include frontline staff to gain some entry-level skills, or new employees that we've been able to attract. We will be doing culinary skills, review prep, and here's a spoiler alert, kind of a sneak peek. I'm really not only getting into the recipe side of this cookbook launch, I'm getting into the scapes that you see all on these great like School Meals That Rock Facebook, where it's really teaching people not only the recipes, but how to lay out your lines and make that food pop. So stay tuned, mark that calendar. August 3rd, we'll be sending out registration information in the next coming month. Also wanted to again just put a plug in for all things ODE today. Dawn was able to give us information about how much they are investing in training. So training is available, lots of training on KERS. So please take a look at all of the new training offerings. They do record those. This is one we just want to point to. If you are one of our schools that is not going to serve summer meals, this is the free information that they allow you to share out that Google map. So if you're in a community and you want families to have access, please share that information as a requirement, but also an opportunity to spread good news for your families. Resources, and again, nodding over to my team at Lunch Assist, they have great community calls. These were some that they had in their last community call. So we're going to also pay it forward. They are from the Center for Eco-Literacy, relative to fun things like plant-forward meals and thinking about how to do that Meatless Monday for the fall. Also, fresh fruit and vegetable posters. We're going to talk a lot about that at our back to school boot camp. Lots of new resources coming from Feed Our Future. So we're super pumped about that, including I'm hearing it's like Santa coming up the stairs here. Some cool stuff with our farmers and trading cards and posters and fun stuff. Last but not least, I always love No Kids Hungry resources, and that No Kids Hungry is going to help you navigate what is going on relative to all things, what we're doing with SSO compared to SFSP. We all know that in the past, that has been something that has been confusing. And so if you are now going to be off of SSO, our acronym soup, alphabet soup, we say, this resource helps you navigate what the heck the difference is between that SFSP and SSO. And it also gives you a really cool idea just to kind of refresh your mind on all of the waivers and how they expire and what that does to impact. So I am so thrilled today. We're going to have a little changing of the seats and the guards here to be with our dear Brooke Gammy. I am sitting at her desk, which she's, again, I was playing with her Apple paper right earlier. She probably just got off the tractor. So she was giving tours and has been gracious enough to join us. Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. Hi, everybody. So we were just here together, and I think I have to, do we stop sharing here? I don't know if
David might have control. There it goes.
Oh, did he stop sharing? Stop sharing. Okay.
Yep, just close that.
Okay, perfect. So it's just us. Yay. And now I'm using this mouse on the wrong hand. Look at all this fancy stuff. Look at you. I know. Wow. There you are. There you are. So I don't know that we stopped sharing. So text David there because it still looks like we are, but here we are sharing. So I just a quick, there it goes. What's up Wednesday? What's up Wednesday? It's been a Wednesday. I feel like we are like the View or something, Giddy sisters getting together. Yes, this would be fun if we did this every Wednesday. It would be. Yes. It would be. So we met a long time ago, and I told Brooke I had a memory of holding little B, who's how old now?
Yeah, Beatrice is my third born. She's 5 years old now.
So we were doing like a farm to school initiative with Feed Our Future. We're both board members, founding board members. Makes us feel a little old, so we don't want to kind of say that. Active board members. Alumni. But we were presenting in front of a group of stakeholders at the Cuyahoga County Board of Health, and we tag teamed holding B. So like she had to go up and talk, and I was like, I'll hold the baby. So, you know, working mom vibe, it all works.
I know, Maureen and I have had such a kindred friendship and professional woven relationship for a lot in our farm to school journey.
Yeah, it really has.
I'm grateful for always including me, and you guys are so lucky to have her as your leader and friend. She's just such a passionate, educated person. Like anyone behind the screen is so lucky So
You're very, very, very kind. We are lucky to have farmers, third generation farmers at Quarry Hill, correct?
Yep.
Family business, female led, although, Ben is busy and he works hard, but we all know who really runs the show.
smoke and mirrors. It's definitely a team effort.
It is.
Farming is a lifestyle, and the kids help, the in-laws. Yeah, it's a team effort for sure.
So what I wanted to start by saying is, why I asked Brooke to be our special guest. First of all, I needed her office because I was here for a meeting and she was, again, a sisterhood. But more so, she has been in this for schools since the beginning. There was a story told earlier today. I live in the Brecksville Broadview Heights School District. And one of the first directors in this area, Kay Cook, who was also here, now works at Ohio School Council, worked as a pilot really to try to get local foods in schools, and apples being a great resource in our state and harvested locally. But you were stuffing some boxes. So
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about how you started in
Yeah.
school.
you're so sweet. And it was so good to be reminded of how we all embarked on this journey. And really, as a young mom, as a new member of a farming family where I had no stake really other than my husband. I didn't grow up around agriculture. I didn't grow up around a farm. And so when I kind of arrived here, I was like, gosh, okay, well, what's important to me? And feeding our children healthy, nutritional, whole food, plant-based meals was just something important. I'm like, okay, well, what are they eating at lunch? Gosh, how come we can't get our apples into the school lunch trays? I attended a young farmers conference in New York, and the big National Farm to School Network was giving a breakout session that I attended, and there was a big apple on the logo. I thought, this would make a lot of sense for me to do. Why don't we sell? We're already selling our apples at grocery stores. Why can't we sell them to schools? Before you know it, I was just not. How far could our truck go? How many apples could we deliver? And you just start talking to schools. Hey, knock, knock, knock. Let's look in your cooler. Where are your apples coming from? And Kay Cook was one of them out at Brecksville. Well, I don't know. Well, let's go read the box. I know that it says on the box, Washington State. Oh, great. Well, gosh. If I came here on Tuesdays, would you buy apples for me? So I just tried to do it. As a young engineer, I was taught you have to do the work before you can hire someone and train them to do that job. So yeah, I called, I took their order, I figured it out, I made a spreadsheet, I drove the truck, I learned how to, I was a truck driver.
You've done it all.
I knew how to back up, beep, beep. Oh, Gordon Foods, how you doing? It was such an adventure.
Oh,
So
gosh.
that's how I got started.
Well, she is amazing. And one of the early memories I have is, I just did a plug for August 3rd, which is our back to school boot camp. The Quarry Hill family has tremendously supported that event since the beginning, including our effort to make the cafeteria an extension of class. Remember that when we talked about how many apples in an orchard and trying to connect some math curriculum. So it's not only growing the apples, committing to being a farm wife and mom, and just dedicated to the school food arena. She has literally anytime I've ever asked her, hey, I got this idea, can we help schools with this? Brooke's always said yes.
Yeah, I am the yes lady when it comes to helping kids in general and working with Maureen. She has such a wealth of tentacles out there of all of you receptive to implementing new things. And I applaud you. That takes a lot of bravery and new initiatives, and not everybody's open to that. So keep up the good work. Keep up the hard work.
Oh, wonderful. We talked about school lunch warrior hero day. And so, always saying thanks to all of our frontline essentials. It doesn't really take a lot to get a fun apple try day. So at a very, very minimum, if you're thinking about all the resources, so Brooke and I, again, are on the Feed Our Future board. There'll be new recipes this fall coming up. We always really celebrate apples during Apple Crunch, and we've been out here doing Apple Crunch in the years
We've been
past.
crunching together for many years.
We have, but I just talked about wellness, and I talked to, about many of you all who aren't going to serve summer meals. And we all know once the school bell rings for the end of the school year, we all need a rest. So take your rest, you frontline hero. But here's what we want to call to action today. We talked a little bit about checking the box for the wellness triennial assessment, or going further and having some conversations. I'm going to give you an insight into, first of all, my daughter is an apple connoisseur. She's a little snob, really, when it comes to apples. It has to be Honeycrisp mostly, but any apples she's ever picked here, which we do. We drive through. She'll try different varieties. I would love, for the last little bit of time we have together, I would love to call you all to think about in your communications to parents to provide some resources on fun local farm to table efforts that parents can take. We love to come out and pick berries and cherries, and we love Apple Crunch. Don't get me wrong, I love apples, but we actually drive past here to go out to our little area that we like to relax in Catawba and pick up food. And there's harvest items. And if ladies, I even pick up some wildflowers. Sometimes she does like crazy things like teach you how to pick and put the bouquets together. So tell me a lineup and how people might find out more about you and what they can do with their families for the summer.
Okay, thank you. So yes, we're gonna do some call to action. I want you guys to start thinking about summer programming and how you can continue your momentum for fresh local foods throughout the summer. So just as Maureen said, on your trek out to the islands, if you're headed up to Cedar Point, our farm literally is like 2 minutes off of Route 2. So I always tell the kids when they come for a tour, make a cherry pie for the 4th of July. So if you're coming before or after July 4th, stop at the farm, pick some sweet cherries. They don't need to be sour cherries to make a pie. You can make them up with whatever you pick off the farm. So cherry season around the 4th of July. And then I always say to the kids too, pick a peach to take to the
beach.
There you go. Yeah. So definitely that hot weather season, July and August, peach season is in full effect. Come out on your way to the beach, the islands, your condo, your party at the water, grab some fresh peaches. And after you go to the boot camp on Wednesday, August 3rd, okay, the very next weekend is the Berlin Heights Basket Fest. We have a 5K on Sunday, August 7th. Or the very next Saturday, August 13th, is our annual Peaches and Cream Fest here, where we serve up our delicious homemade peaches and cream ice cream. We have a vegan offering. We do flower crowns, live music, food trucks, and we really just celebrate the peach season. So the best way, don't worry if you didn't write that down. After here, Maureen always sends a great follow-up email. She'll send you a link so you can subscribe to our email newsletters. And from there, you'll get updates on when cherries are ready, when raspberries are ready, when peaches are ready, pick your own, the Peach Fest. So you guys can update your calendars and continue all your local food excitement during the summer. So
oh, I love that.
Does that sound good?
It sounds amazing. And
Okay.
I have to show these little cards.
Yeah,
Look at this.
I brought
Look
these
at
up.
this cutie. This is so this is Ben Gammy, and this is her other half, partner in crime, partner in life. But we will put a final pitch here in the final minutes before any Q&A. Please feel free to drop questions in the chat. If you don't have any questions, you can certainly take yourself off of mute and answer or ask any questions. Feed Our Future, part of our project, our love project, really passion project.
Yes.
We will be releasing new recipes come fall. So new harvest recipes.
Oh, good.
Which is going to be fun. We have videos and little great canvas on how to make
Oh, cool.
how
I
to make
didn't-
their way into our cookbook. But if you haven't signed up, there's new resources, and these are just one of them. So there's posters and there's also trading cards. So, one of the things I'm calling you to do is come out and meet your farmer who provides wonderful apples for our schools. But these cards really talk about all of the local farms that really supply through the OSC bid and are aggregated and delivered either direct or through Oberlin Food Hub currently. So we encourage you to not only take that opportunity for yourself and your family, but cultivate that in your school community and your school wellness discussions, and certainly for your students. We found that this was a super hit.
Yeah, the kids love
Yeah,
these.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, which one did you get? Oh, I want to collect this one. And you don't hand them out all at once. Like maybe hand out Ben's during apple season and hand out who
We
we
have
got.
Bryce.
Yeah.
This one seems to be a favorite.
Oh yeah, Adam Welly with his man beard and his man bun. So these are fun. Get on Feed Our Future. If you haven't taken the pledge, take the pledge and join the party here.
Hey, we also have Farmer Jane. So we're keeping it women and men. So power to the she as well. So Marge just dropped in. Thank you, Feed Our Future. If you haven't taken the pledge or signed up for, please do. We are certainly, we're up against our hour, and it was just
Okay.
such a great way to end it. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I loved being here for What's Up Wednesday. I hope to meet all you guys in person. When you come out, tell me I saw you on your Maureen's video.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. If there aren't any questions, thank you again for your time. And we will do our final live event, What's Up Wednesday, on May the 18th. So if you're interested, again, our newsletters go out the first Wednesday in our live event. Thank you, Mackenzie Lopez from Lunch Assist, and tell all our friends on the West Coast to send some more heat. We've got the sun today, but it is cold. But we certainly are, we know it takes a village, and we all just are here for your success and invested in that. So thank you so much for your time today, and we'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye.